3,000. History with an exclamation.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied. Yankees are champions of baseball.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to episode 930 of the podcast, BD4. And this is not going to be a very long episode, and that is because this was such a concerning big picture loss that we're not even going to take the time to dive into the X's and O's like we usually do, right? We usually like to talk basketball here on the show and dissect the sport and get into the details and the what's and the hows and the whens and the who's. But I feel like this loss was very simple and very concerning because it was just more about DNA, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's got to be the takeaway here from every Knicks fan. Final score of this game, by the way, in Orlando, the Knicks lose to the Magic again, 133 to 121. I turned this game off with, 7 minutes and change, because I have a disease where I'm such a fan, I have to keep track. I come back into the room maybe 4 minutes later, just watch the rest of it. So I see the final 2-3 minutes and change, and then nothing changed, because the New York Knicks in the second half of this game, after somehow having a lead at halftime, completely quit. They quit. The Knicks quit. So this wasn't a loss where you could say, tip your cap, the Magic are tough. This is not the Magic. This is the Knicks quitting. That's the takeaway. They quit. And, you can say a lot of things about the head coach that was, you can blame him for a lot, and people did, and people should have. I don't think the Knicks quit under that guy. I don't think the Tom Thibodeau Knicks ever had a game where they quit, at least from what I can remember last 2 years for sure. I'm not enjoying the season. We're 15 games in. I'm not enjoying it like I thought I would. Okay. Kind of getting the same vibes that I got early last year, where it just doesn't seem like this team's going to put it together by the end of the year in a way that we need them to put it together. So there aren't a ton of expectations right now for me. I know the Knicks fan is excited or was excited entering the year, and they have finals expectations. I don't have that. That's the goal. That should be the goal. And they have addressed some things that I think the offense needed addressing, and how you're going to run this offense. And under Tom Thibodeau, he never really tried to figure out that formula. I think the Knicks are figuring that out, and I think they can figure it out by the end of the year. But now there are a lot of other issues, and you're this top-heavy team, and your defense is, in my opinion, I don't want to say unimprovable, but it's not going to be, I don't think it can be improved to a point where from now to when we get to June, God forbid the Knicks make it to June, healthy, I don't think it can get to a point where it's enough. And you just look at some of the recent NBA champions, Boston, OKC, they are perfect teams, right? The Celtics in 2024 were perfect, or as close to perfect as you can be. They were 99th percentile. The OKC Thunder are pretty much perfect in the way they're built. The Knicks, I don't know a single soul that would say they're even close to perfect. There are so many scary parts about this team. It's the fact that they quit so easily. They cannot buy a stop at the point of attack. They lack a secondary creator. They lack true wing depth, right? I mean, again, you go back to those teams. What's the big thing in the NBA right now? It's long, rangy wings who can switch, who can space, etc. Right? Look at Boston before they blew it up. Look at OKC right now. Talking about long wings. Look at Indiana and how they beat us with Siakam, Halliburton. Look at Orlando now, who's starting to figure out some of their offensive stuff maybe, which is kind of the last piece of their puzzle. They've got problems of their own with that. The Paolo stuff, they've got long, rangy wings. And I think the Knicks, they've got Mikal Bridges. They've got OG Anunoby. Right now, they've just got Mikal Bridges. I mean, it's gotten so bad where Knicks fans are begging for Pacome Dadier and they're advocating for Mohamed Diawara to get more minutes. I mean, that's how bad it is. These are end of the draft guys. They're nobodies. And so you talk about the front office and how well they did in addressing the draft. Yes, we can get into all that. And it's fair also to question, did Leon Rose, and this is something we've brought up before, did he give away too much of that DNA from 2 years ago when when adding to this roster the last couple of years? Did he give too much of that away? Because the Knicks used to have that toughness. They used to be the type of team that Orlando is now. They had that toughness 2 years ago. That 2023-24 team was tough and they played defense. That was their identity. The Knicks don't have an identity right now. They used to have depth on top of depth, right? Before that OG trade, remember they had this second unit that was just outstanding. Now, obviously there are trade-offs because they lacked a lot at the top at that time. And they wanted to be more modern with Towns, and that's helped. And they wanted to add that Villanova chemistry with Mikal Bridges, bringing him in. That's helped. And obviously they wanted to add a top 10 wing defender in the NBA with Anunoby. And obviously he's been so impactful, clearly. But yeah, it's fair to question. And again, we have been questioning that for a bit. Me personally, I've said it before. This is nothing new. I don't think this group can work. I think there are a lot of questions. I think that the offensive questions with Josh Hart and Mitch Robinson sharing the floor with certain guys, I think you can maneuver that with better coaching. And I think Mike Brown has shown that with 5 out, with 5 out lineups. I'm a little under the weather. But I also think, again, some of the depth and defensive stuff is just way too much to overcome. The Brunson Towns stuff defensively, that's brutal, man. That's always been a problem. You could try different head coaches with different types of schemes. It's tough. The toughness is a fair concern. How many, quote unquote, dogs does this team have? Mikal Bridges, good addition. The physicality isn't really in his DNA. Same thing with Towns. The depth at the bottom is very thin. So they lack so much on the defensive end to where you can't even say their identity is that they're going to kill you with the three. Because they will have games like last night where they score 121 points and nobody even takes a peek at that. Because their defense is so abominable that the 15th ranked Orlando Magic will look like the number one offense in the world. It's such a bad defense. Even when everybody's healthy and right, there are problems to it. Has it been good in a small sample this year when OG's on the floor? Yes, but and I'm sure it's metrically good overall since they've had OG. But one player should not be your entire defense. Mitch Robinson has been healthy for a bit now, so we think. And he's looked about as bad as you can look since he's come back. He's looked horrible on the defensive end of the floor. Last night, they did not have OG. They did not have Deuce McBride, and they did not have Landry Shamet. Hopefully he's okay, but it seems like his NBA career might, never be the same whenever it is he does come back because of that same shoulder injury. So Mitch Robinson, because they didn't have all these guys, basically had to take the Franz Wagner matchup. And Franz Wagner and the Magic made Mitch's life hell. They made it a living hell. And they forced him to move a ton on the perimeter. And he's not doing that well right now. I don't know if the ankle is still bothering him, but it seems like it because his switchability is completely gone. Like they were forcing him to switch on, could not hold his own on the perimeter. Forced him to recover and close out. Ran him through ball screens, off screens, pick and rolls, double drags. There were possessions where Mitch was put in rotation off double drags and Orlando would just get a completely wide open look off of it. And I just wonder, I thought they would adjust more in the second half and put Mitch on the dunker so he didn't have to worry about that matchup. Could you have switched those Franz pick and rolls more with Towns or Yabu? Perhaps. Would that have made a difference? I don't know. Would it have been nice, or would it be nice if Mikal Bridges was still at the point in his career where he could defend at the point of attack effectively? It sure would, but I think he's not that guy anymore. He's kind of shown us since being a Knick, he's not that type of defender. Mikal Bridges, when he's best defensively, it's in help off the ball. So without going on too much further, at the end of the day, the defense without OG is a nightmare. The defense without an effective Mitch is a nightmare. Same with Deuce. But the defense, when everybody's healthy and right, is still flawed. And sometimes that gets masked. Because your two best players are your two biggest minutes eaters. And your two biggest minutes eaters are also your two worst defenders. And they're always going to be on the floor. And they're going to be on the floor even longer in the postseason. So they've got some things to figure out, and I'm not sure they can figure this out by the time they need to figure it out. The Knicks defense right now is ranked 18th in the NBA. That's not good. And they've played a lot of teams with mediocre to worse offense. They've played one top 10 offense metrically so far. But Orlando's not a great offense, at least metrically so far. And they made them look elite. Have they played better without Paolo? Yeah. There are whole things about Paolo being a negative plus-minus guy and not a really winning impact player. But the fact of the matter is this team that's supposed to be a finals contender is making these offenses look so much better than what they are. And you're not going to win with a defense like that. Offense wins championships, sure. But 18th ranked defenses against mediocrity doesn't win championships. You need to defend. You need to defend. Anyways, let's head to a break. When we get back, we'll wrap it up. Stay with us.
Quick break here, guys. Stay connected with BD4 on social media. Follow us on Instagram and X at BD4Pod, and find us on Facebook by searching BD4. Don't miss out. Join the conversation. Want more BD4? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss an episode. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and share with your fellow fans. Don't forget to ring that bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Love BD4 but don't have the time to sit down and watch? Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star rating and a quick review. It helps us grow and keeps the conversation going.
Welcome back to the show. Episode 930 of the podcast. We're going to wrap this one up in a sec, but the two best players on the floor last night for the Knicks were not good. The best player among the starting unit, I guess you could say, was Jalen Brunson, who now has 8 game balls on the year. Listen, he was not good defensively, but because we do this every game and we hand out a game ball to a guy from the starting unit and then one guy from the second unit, Jalen Brunson last night, if I can pull it up, 33 points, 3 rebounds, 11 assists. He shot 12 for 21, was 3 for 9 from 3. That part still hasn't come around yet, which is annoying. But you like the volume. 6 for 6 at the foul line, only 2 turnovers. That was Jalen Brunson's line across 37 minutes. Magic did a nice job adjusting in the second half of blitzing his pick and rolls, but I thought he did a really good job of passing out of them, and he was passing well the entire night. He hit Mitchell Robinson a bunch. Usually, Brunson is not a guy who likes to throw those lob passes with his size. He's more a guy who prefers the pocket pass, put it on the ground, but he had some nice lobs to Mitch, and 11 assists is nice to see from him. And then if you go to the second unit, again, there was not a lot of hope. Clarkson had 15 points, 5 assists. He came in, at the top of the second quarter like he usually does. Offense usually struggles when that bench initially comes in. He provides the spark. He did so last night. So he was good. Again, 15 points, 5 assists, 6 for 10, 3 of 5 from 3. Jordan Clarkson getting paint touches, finishing at the basket, knocking down some triples. Good for him. He now has 5 game balls on the season. Don't care. The Knicks were horrid in this game, as was he and everybody else. So up next for New York is, they got their day off today, and then they have a win against the Nets tomorrow. So they're going to win that game, and I don't care. You don't care. Nobody should care. It's a meaningless win they've got coming up against the Nets. I don't give a shit. So let's just take a look at their schedule here as we... Let me see if I can pull it up on the phone. Yeah. They have the Nets 7:30 tomorrow. And then after that, let's see. I'm going backwards. I'm going back to 2024 here. Good podcasting here. Where am I going? How do they not have... I'm like, fucking everywhere I go, I'm going in the wrong direction. I'm trying to pull up the schedule on Google, but here we go. The Nets tomorrow, and then they have another cup game. That's against the Hornets on Wednesday, and that will wrap up their road trip. And they've still yet to find any type of consistency on the road if you care about that record. So they got the Nets tomorrow. And then the Hornets in cup play on Wednesday. So, yeah, the next real team they play are the Bucks. Then they play the Raptors after the Bucks. They got the Magic in December, early December on the 7th. That's kind of the next test, really. Bucks are nice, but... All right, we're going to wrap it up with our trivia now. And we're going to get the hell out of here because Lord knows I don't want to record this any further. And, nobody listens to these shows anyway. So our trivia today. After leaving the Knicks, which 2 teams did Patrick Ewing play for to close out his NBA career, with the Magic, of course, being one of them? All right. After leaving the Knicks, which 2 teams did Patrick Ewing play for to close out his NBA career, with the Magic being one of them? All right, so with the Magic being one, who was the other team? So with that said, that is it. We're going to wrap it up here about 20 minutes in. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you soon. Go Knicks. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.